And I think it's important actually to say it here. One of my biggest concerns and also goals that I always try to maintain is that, I mean, a lot of times Black people expect Black businesses to fail. And and there's already so many ways in which we're projected in the media when we fail. We're not given that grace. And so the execution and the having that strong ethical standard is so big to me for this nonprofit, this goal, because a lot of people in the industry early on were charging artists to do a lot of things, and you should charge artists, and artists should want to invest in themselves. But there's a line between, is this really developing the artist, or am I just trying to use them because I know they have this dream? Yeah, how you feeling?
I'm good, Sister
Oh,
Dior
good.
Ashley Brown. Yo, first
Yeah.
off, let me give you your flowers.
Oh,
Uh,
thank you.
I've been to three DC Music Summits, and one, like, obviously what you're doing is really important and special, but
Yeah.
two, your execution is flawless. You and
Thank
your
you for
team,
saying that, because this kicked my butt. There were so many things. Woo. Thank you. Thank you for saying
you,
that.
you
Thank
you
you.
and your team
Thank
are
you.
doing it, and that's we
Okay.
put events together, so I know it is a challenge, it's a task.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, you probably going crazy, but from a outward looking in, I was thoroughly impressed with you, your team,
Oh,
like the flow, the communication, the
okay.
follow through
Okay.
was all well done. So big ups to you.
Thank you. And honestly, hearing that from you, former owner of House Studios, I grew up going into that studio. I was still kind of learning the process, so I didn't have like a full-on membership and things, but I got blessed to kind of record in that studio and work with other artists in that space. And I think we even shot a video inside and outside of it, with some other growing artists. So for you to be the owner of that and that become like a staple in DC early on, it means a lot to hear that from you.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. And I remember very well. I've seen you grow up
Yeah.
in music, and more importantly, I think in business. I've seen you
Thank you.
like
Thank
you
you.
are a force to be reckoned with. And so I'm excited to have this convo because I mean, you got more eyes than I do, but I feel like it's important that we shine a light on people who are doing things really well,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially for artists, because it's, what it is. It's not easy for us. So
I also want to bring up what you just said about the execution. One of my, and I think it's important actually to say it here. One of my biggest concerns and also goals that I always try to maintain is that, I mean, a lot of times Black people expect Black businesses to fail. And and there's already so many ways in which we're projected in the media when we fail. We're not given that grace. And so the execution and the having that strong ethical standard is so big to me for this nonprofit, this goal, because a lot of people in the industry early on were charging artists to do a lot of things, and you should charge artists, and artists should want to invest in themselves. But there's a line between, is this really developing the artist, or am I just trying to use them because I know they have this dream of fame and things? So and it happens in many different industries. It's not just the arts industry, and we shouldn't just blame entertainment. I mean, it happens. I mean, even couch surfing or whatever they call
mhm.
it, right? Yeah, right. Couch surfing. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put a bad phrase on couch surfing, but the couch situation, um, it has always put that stigma only in the entertainment industry, but that happens in so many different industries. So
Yeah.
my goal is to make sure that DC Music Summit can stay as ethically strong and really about the artist and what we do. I am human. There are flaws. There are, people are human, but I try to always bring it back to, how can we be this standard and continue to be, strong, Black led, and be respected. So thank you
I
for saying that.
respect it, and I lived it. Again, you talk
Yeah.
about House, and everyone saw the product that became House.
Yeah.
But my
Yeah.
biggest fear day one was I'm a black man starting a recording studio in Washington, D.C. On 12th Street Northeast, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
before it was what it is now, we know what that area was. Like
Right.
Saratoga, right? Y'all call it something else now, but we were in
Upper Northeast.
Saratoga. Yeah, upper Northeast, or whatever they call it now. We were in Saratoga,
Definitely.
2009, 2010,
Yeah, yeah.
pre, every house had gates on the, like, so
You hear me?
it was
Yeah,
an uphill battle, and the reality is that, I mean, this isn't even a feeling. This is like you have to be 10 times better with 10 times less,
yeah.
right?
Yes,
Like,
yes, yes.
and so I was terrified of the stigma, and one of the things, I think probably the thing I'm most proud of is, especially when we're in Northeast, but even when we moved to Hyattsville, was we never had an incident, right? With all the people, all the artists, all the big celebrities, all the gangbangers, all the people that came
Yeah,
through house, we
yeah.
never had an incident. And that was
Oh,
like
that is such good news.
my
Yeah,
biggest thing was
yeah,
like, even when there was
yeah,
potential for like drama with people, I'd be
yeah,
like, no, like, y'all know what it is.
yeah,
Y'all know like who I am and what we stand for.
yeah,
This can't happen here. And the funny thing is the artist knew that. Like I
yeah.
remember when Fat Trell and Glizzy were going through their thing and they were both
Okay.
recording out of house.
Yeah.
And like my rule with them was like, whatever y'all got going on out there cannot
Mm.
happen here. I don't care if y'all
Yeah.
see each other in this building because this is
Right.
all we got. Like there is
That's
no other
right.
place for us.
Hello. Still having that problem, that
Yeah,
lack of that need being fed. Want to talk to you maybe after this.
absolutely. Oh, again, I've
You know?
told you, you got my support. I see how you
Oh,
roll. I know what you're about. I'm a
yeah.
believer. I'm a supporter, and we'll get to
Okay.
that here and well after.
Yeah, and I
So
also wanted to say just about that. I never felt that I was not safe though, even though it was off of Rhode Island Avenue, Northeast. I grew up in Northeast too, so of course, when you know your hood, you don't feel a certain way. But also that I never, it was in the alleyway, one of the entrances, and I never not felt safe.
yeah,
I could be there with the homies, and I really felt like that was the air. Like we need to respect what we have. So
yeah,
don't to others, don't sleep on the community. We
yeah. No,
definitely can value it.
community is everything, and that's
Yeah.
why. Again, I don't know what we're going to title this episode, but our podcast is for artists, creators,
Okay.
aspiring managers, anyone who wants to get in the industry. And really, it gives me a chance to like hear your story. You share it with our community because I feel like the next Dior Ashley Brown just needs to know it's possible, right? Like,
That's right.
and
That's
and
right.
so by
Yeah.
you sharing your story, someone's going to be like,
Yeah.
"Wow, if she did it, I could do it," or if he did it, I could do it, and that's what this is for. So now,
Yeah.
obviously, I know you, but tell the people listening who you are. Who is Dior Ashley Brown?
Wow. I am a multifaceted creative with a huge humanitarian heart, and I am solution oriented. I see a problem and I want to solve it. Sometimes to my ultimate benefit, sometimes to my detriment. And to the benefit of that, creating DC Music Summit. I'm the executive director, and I'm the founder. And I created DC Music Summit because I saw a need. And it has really opened doors in that, I feel like in this entertainment business, you do have to be in a space of service too, so that can usually be an in a lot of different ways, even when if you want to learn something, interning for growing organizations like myself or businesses, just learning that aspect. I think a lot of people lose the essence of learning, and paying dues is a valuable thing because you can learn a lot of what not to do or to do, So I am that. I am the founder of and executive director of DC Music Summit. I studied at University of Maryland College Park, and I also went to Duke Ellington School of the Arts. So I really love. I started as an actor, but music was always a part of my backdrop. I was singing Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, Tevin Campbell, but also listening to like hip hop's golden era. Outkast, Nas, Big, big fan of Nas, big fan of Outkast. They really inspired a lot of my music, my rhymes, and also a lot of female artists like Queen Latifah, Nonchalant, Lauryn Hill are in the depths of a lot of my cadence and vibes and rhythm. And I was also deeply affected by the neo soul era, Erykah Badu, Jill Scott. I am an artist. I am a MC. I'm a hip hop MC. I've been rocking in the hip hop scene in DC for quite some time. I started off really young. My ex-boyfriend was a DJ, and I used to I was kind of like a closet MC. So I was coming out as this poet, like I would do these rhymes as poetry. And then I started putting them onto beats. One of my first beats I wrote on was on Mobb Deep Shook Ones. And I took a piece of my poetry and it started to develop more. I used to do freestyles and I was kind of whack. And then like when the boys were challenging me, I got better and better. So I love to freestyle. And I also lead a band. The band is called The Filthy Animals. So it's Dior Ashley Brown and The Filthy Animals. We get funky. We've had a year of excellence. I'm so glad that like the last couple of months have just been like kind of slow, because they've been giving me reflection. Like I cannot believe what was done in 2021. So I'm a multifaceted artist. I am a founder of a nonprofit. I love the arts. I don't love a lot of things that have been happening lately in the arts industry, as far as still not pushing that conscious narrative and like letting conscious music shine, or people who are real musicians shine. And not dogging other artists. I'm just saying that like there's so much talent out here, and there's just so much to learn, and there's so much to value about arts that I'd love to see more. But that was probably a long intro, but I think those are kind of the things of what I am.
I love it. I love the closet rapper. I think we're all closet rappers. You just came out. A lot of us didn't. I'll say this.
Okay.
I was listening to your Spotify to get ready for the convo, and that track Delivery. Yo, when I say that joint is like top notch lyricism, production, like it's just a well done record. So
thank you.
Kudos to you for that.
I brought out Delivery in 2020. I wrote it in like 2019, 2018. I actually have an album. People probably don't believe me because it's been taking so long, because I don't know, everything I got to do got to be this activism, got to be this push. I really want to push for hip hop, and we'll talk more about that maybe later in this conversation or off. But I do have a project, but Delivery needed to come out. Mm-hmm. Delivery during 2020, when the BLM protests were happening, I was like, yo, this song needs to be heard. It is probably the one moment in time where we're actually accepting and listening to conscious music, where everyone's ear was to it. And I was like, this has to come out. So to hear you say that, thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
You got it. So again, one of the things that I appreciate about you is that you do see the power of art, right? You see that it's not just music, but it's a vehicle. And you've used it obviously to get messages across.
Yeah.
But then you also use it like with DC Music Summit. So now taking the artist hat off and wearing the executive director hat, which is a big hat to wear. Why did you feel DC Music Summit was needed?
I felt DC Music Summit was needed. One, like I told you, I'm a humanitarian. So once I started learning I was going on LinkedIn, and for some reason I was looking for accounting or something. And I found this accountant who helped me, who called herself a music business accountant. And so she was pushing this whole thing that, artists don't even realize that they are a business, and that we have deductions. You can deduct your recording studio time. You can deduct your travel. And so hired her. started learning from her, and she was like, you need to create yourself as an LLC. And now this is, let me clarify, this is for artists who want to do this as a business, not the artist who's just like, chilling. They, want $50 when they go to a gig or nothing at all. This is for the people who actually, it's a career for them. I'm saying they really see it as a business. I started learning from her that I needed to be LLC'd, and that opened my whole world up to like the fact that maybe I could get business credit and get loans. It's something I'm still working towards, getting loans to, get equipment and things I need, set myself up for greatness. So once I started learning that I was a business, I was like, all of the artists in my community need to learn this. And I was a part of a group called Muzai House. They called themselves a gym for artists. I was doing PR for Muzai House. So I was doing PR partnerships, being the face of it. And I was just there and getting active. And I proposed this idea to a fellow jammer who used to come to our jams, and she happened to work for Google. And I said, hey, I want to do what Google has been doing to come into the community to sell their products to creative businesses, which is they wanted everyone to be using G Suite, whatever, right? They wanted that. I said, hey, I want to do panels and discussions about this. She happened to know someone who was a part of another sister who was a part of Moog Music, who knew a whole bunch of connections. And in 2016, it was March 2016, we had the first DC Music Summit at the 2-floor warehouse on 411 New York Avenue. And I could not, right. And I only wanted it for the 50 people who come to the summit, but having Google on that brought 225. So I saw that there was a need. One, it showed that there was a community, and then there was a need. And I pretty much was dedicated after I did it a second year. So it was just, that's really why, is that I saw it. So then again, we had it a second year, and 250 or so showed up the second year. And I had it across 4 or 5 Black businesses on H Street, on the bottom half, where halftime was. So you could go into these different restaurants and stores and go have class. So sometimes I'm like, I can't believe half of this I didn't even do, and that I did and didn't even know what I was doing. I didn't even know what I was doing. I can't believe it. Sometimes I'm like, wow, but it was having that heart, and it was, standing firm and centered in that. And I was like, I'm going to get in. And the whole time I was learning. The whole time I was still learning about these things, but it just started blowing my mind. And I was like, Black artists in this area need it, especially because you hear about the stories of TLC. They're not reading their contracts. I got tired of hearing we're not reading our contracts. I got tired of reading that we don't have any money. I think that also hurts hip hop. The fact that Black artists in the 60s and 70s, 80s, early 90s did not know their business, right? Or they were being used, whatever, what have you. They were underfunded. So when these artists are trying to get their samples cleared, that you can't call a real person who owns the estate, several other labels know them, you can't get a call in there. And then if you do reach them, they want $1 million and you ain't got enough. You know what I'm saying? You're a growing artist. So I think that has also hurt the genre of hip hop too, because the lack of business.
I love it. Well, I love that timeline. I was at the first event. Like I said, I've been to 3.
Yeah.
And I remember the warehouse loft right there by what's now Union Market. But back then there was no Union Market. It was just warehouse loft and
Northeast. Northeast.
Well,
I don't even know what we called it then.
We just try to get in the building as quick as possible. Yeah. That's what it was. Yep. But again, I've seen the growth. You said something that I want to jump to. Yeah. You said I didn't know what I was doing. And one of the things my wife, Davina, and I joke about still is no one knows what they're doing. Like, we've done this now for over a decade, and I still don't know what I'm doing. Like, that's the secret. And I say it proudly now because I can only say it proudly because I'm pretty sure no one knows what they're doing. So like, even a person I'd be like, he doesn't know what he's doing. I'd be like, well, what are you doing? Like, no one knows we're figuring it out as we go.
That's right.
Having fun doing it. Yep. When you mess up, you only get better. And then times change. So even when you think you figured something out, something new comes along, you're like, oh, I got to learn this now. So like you're
Yeah.
constantly always evolving,
Yeah.
but you are one that has put action behind your thoughts. And that to me is like a separator because the need has always been there.
Yeah.
There's still a need, and it's why I have 24/7, why you have DC Music Summit.
Yeah.
But like I was inspired going to your event. I was like, oh, okay, like I got to figure out how to support more people like you because
Yeah.
I think now I'm in a space of rather than me try to duplicate it, right? Like
Yeah.
maybe my resources are better put behind people who are doing it already,
Yes.
and like we can elevate together.
Yes.
And then that's so I'm excited because you're already elevating. Now the Duke Ellington connection makes sense. What year did you go to Duke? If you don't mind
I
me
will
asking.
tell the year because I'm trying to, I got
Or better yet, let me ask you this: Was Rory Pullins the executive director when you were there?
I don't know who Roy. I don't know Roy.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, because Rory's a friend of 24/7. He was the
But I do know a lot of folks, maybe by face.
yeah,
Yeah.
he was a
Sorry,
principal,
Roy. We know each other. Yeah.
he was a principal, but not
Okay.
not.
Okay. Yeah.
But nah, Duke Ellington's an amazing school. I
Yeah.
love that you did it there. For those who are listening, not from the DC area, Duke Ellington is like famed for DC, right? It's like
It
the
is.
art
Yep.
school that if you got real talent in any art, right?
Yeah.
Visual, audio, anything, you go to Ellington. And what I love about them, one of the young ladies that was, I guess you guys had like guides for the instructors. So I had like someone assigned to me, which was crazy.
Yeah.
That was dope.
Yes.
But she was explaining to me like, so she's there for theater production. She goes to school regular time.
Yep.
And then after school, she has like basically like a job at school where she learns theater production.
Yes.
Separate from class.
Yes.
And I didn't know Duke Ellington ran like that. That's crazy.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I went to all schools did that.
I wouldn't go home to about 6, 7 o'clock at night because I had my
That's what she said.
You have your education block and that's why Duke Ellington is so important and why we have to protect it. There's a lot of work that needs to be done to protect that, but we have to protect it. And right now they're pushing back against DCPS because they don't want to mess up the model. They don't want it to start to becoming just a program, where you're only there for like an hour. No, because I went to Ellington, it prepared me for the arts program at my university. And then it also prepares you for the level of work ethic that you need to really move in this industry, because you have to accept a lot of rejection. Coming into the arts already, you need to know rejection. You need to not get in your feelings and you need to have to go to the next, and then the bandwidth of time and effort it takes. I mean, I tell everyone who comes and volunteers for DC Music Summit, I tell them all the time that it's a lot of work. But also, if you're an artist, it's going to teach you what you need to do, because it is so much self-promotion, so much of having the flyer in your own bag and letting someone know, or on your phone and ready, and constant connecting. And it is, guess what? Data entry. It is collecting emails. It is who's going to upload those emails, who's going to follow up with your contracts, who's going to read your contracts, who's going to edit your contracts. All of those things you are going to have to learn about the level of work. It's not a cute industry. It is a fun industry, and then you can definitely grow in it, you can make money in it, but it is not cute.
I like that phrase. It's not a
we
cute
make it
industry.
look cute. You know what I'm saying?
It isn't cute. It actually it's a brutal industry, and I love that you led with projection, right? Like, I can teach you how to play, I can teach you how to mix, I can teach you how to perform.
Yeah.
I don't know how to teach you how to be ready for like 100 no's to get to that one yes. And the people who make it in our industry simply are cool with getting through the no's. It has my mentor Paul Minor used to tell me it has nothing to do with talent, because if it was about talent, that 11-year-old cellist and that 9-year-old pianist who can play their ass off would be winning Grammys and be at the top of billboards. It's not about talent. It's not about
the come on. I'm not trying to be funny, but didn't Bad Bunny make a career off of what show was she on? The talk show.
Dr. Phil.
Made a career off of Dr. Phil. She was a bad kid. She had all that personality, and then when she got that fanship, now it's like, oh, let's try to make her into something else. Let's get,
And then the funny thing is, it doesn't get better, right? So like the other side of it is, so there's a large group of artists who will try, never make it, try and fail and whatever. Yeah. But even for the ones who make it, what you're really asking for is attention.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
and the one thing that happens, the guarantee is for every one person that loves you, one person
Yeah.
hates you. For every one
Mm,
person that loves you, one person hates you. So the bigger you become, you're guaranteeing more hate. And a lot of people don't understand that, right?
yeah.
Like if you say I want to be the biggest artist from DC, then
Yeah.
that means that you'll have the most people hating you in DC.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
the guarantee.
Yeah.
It means you'll have the most people loving you too, but
Mm-hmm.
what do you pay attention to? And it's really difficult when you put out a song and you know that you're gonna have 1,000 people say, "This is the worst thing I've ever heard." You'll have 1,000 people say, "Oh my God, this is great," but you'll also have
Yeah.
1,000 people say, "This is crap."
Yep.
And if you don't learn how to deal with that part of it, it never gets good. As great
Exactly.
as Beyonce is, I can
Yeah.
Google search right now, and there's at least 100 people who've written Beyonce's a horrible artist.
Exactly.
There's,
You
there's
got
a
to learn
thousand
how to push
people who
through.
say Michael Jackson can't sing. Like that, you're not protected from it. So it's like
Nope.
I love that it's not a cute industry
It's
because we
not.
paint this picture of like, oh man,
Yeah.
once I get the manager, once I get the label deal, I've made it, and then all is good. But if you
Mm-mm.
don't have that skin, and Ellington does do a good job, I think, of preparing. Like you guys have auditions, you guys have
Yeah.
tryouts, you guys have things.
Absolutely.
That's real life. There is
Yep.
no like, oh, you're
That's
talented and you're
real
just
life.
gonna get it.
It's real life. And that's why I wanted to bring DC Music Summit to my school, because you learn about that is a huge part of the business, right? Is being able to deal with rejection and know how to have the best quality of work. But I wanted to bring that business aspect, so that we don't have those situations where everyone is I get, like we were talking about the couch situations. You don't have to compromise your art or compromise yourself. You can learn how to order up your business to start building your stability. That's what I'm doing all the time. I'm still mind blown to this day of all the things. I'm like, wow, if I would have known this and I would have known that, or I had access to that, or if I knew how to organize that grant document, or how to answer those questions. Like I didn't know that. Here's a tidbit out for the audience, is that like sometimes you need to write these grants in third person.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? They don't want you speaking directly from yourself, which is really interesting. You know what I'm saying? It's an interesting perspective. But those are the things that I wanted to get us better prepared for. So DC Music Summit is for everyone. I was trying to put it in the art school so that people could really understand that, yeah, the kids need this. And then also they could directly see their community. They could see, oh, if I were to come out of Duke Ellington and live in DC before I went to New York or LA, this could probably gear me up or get me ready. DC is a DIY city.
Mm-hmm.
We are a DIY. You know what I'm saying? If we don't see, and it's so crazy because it's so indicative of our government and the nonprofit sphere. You know what I'm saying? If we see that there's a need, we start creating it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy, but that's how it is. Almost, I've seen so many businesses and things that are popping up because everybody's trying to fulfill what's missing.
Mm-hmm. I
Mm-hmm.
love it. And the other thing, last thing on Ellington is I hadn't been to the new campus.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a spaceship. I've never seen a high school look like that in my life before. That is amazing that DC has
Isn't
that.
it?
That
It
is
is amazing, and that's why I wanted to survive and thrive. Right now, like I said, there's a pushback with DCPS coming to the school. I really needed to have the arts vibe there, because you like people were saying, there's just kids like doing dance on the steps. You know what I'm saying? It's just you go there and you can feel and see the arts all around you.
absolutely.
That should be a true art school, not just a program. We do have arts programs all over, DC and different schools, but an art school is so unique,
All right.
just
So
like you go to a STEM school, it's going to be unique to that,
so you built this DC Music Summit 2016. You get better. Eventually, you are a nonprofit. You become a nonprofit, correct?
Yes. About 2 years ago, we became a nonprofit.
Congratulations again. That's a huge step, which
Thank you.
means that for you to survive as a nonprofit,
Yeah.
outside of your programming, you accept donations and stuff. So kind of
That's right.
walk the people listening through how they can support DC Music Summit. Like
Oh my God. Yes. Well, one, you can definitely follow us on Instagram at DC Music Summit. You can go to our website, dcmusicsummit.org. And there is a lot of different ways you can give. We have something called a grapevine. There's a link to that on our website. I think you would go into, I think that we have a donate button, but you can go to Grapevine as well, where it's kind of like a Facebook for giving. And then we also have PayPal giving, which as soon as you donate, you can get your tax receipt right away, where you can take it to your tax professional and get that as a deduction on your taxes. But yes, you can donate to us on going to our website. You can also have a fundraiser for us. So you can reach out to me and say, hey, Dior, we want to have a fundraiser. I've had some local venues want to have events and give us a percentage of like maybe their bar or, something like that, or have a event for us where we're collecting donations. So we definitely love that. Definitely come out we have a membership. Let me not forget that. We have a DC Music Summit membership. It is only $50 now, but I think we've just reached our year. So, that get it now, because the fees will have to go up. But what it is you get with this membership, you'll get instant WALA, which is Washington Area Lawyer for the Arts membership. So you can go to classes that are kind of more legally focused. So understanding your copyright better, things like that. So you'll automatically get a membership with that. You also get, I think, discount on classes at 7 Drum City. You get a discount at HR Records in DC. So if you go in there and you want to get a record or CD and you have a DC Music Summer membership, you get a discount there. And we're just continuously building up the membership, connecting with others on the affinity agreement, and then, making it big and bold. We have about 60 members now, super proud of that. But that is definitely another way you can donate and support us. And we'll be working on the summit, so you can sponsor with us. The thing with DC Music Summit is endless. We're trying to attain space so that we can have regular in-person professional development. We do plenty of things online. We're going to be doing a fundraiser in the new year. So you'll be able to come to our fundraiser and donate and get dressed up. Last year, it was called For the Love of Music. So we're hoping to duplicate that again. It's a red and black affair. So you start looking for your red and black outfits. But there are numerous ways with the summit. We had sponsors have tables. We put them all over our website, Instagram. You can help us create our recap videos. We're in a content world, so honestly, the possibilities are endless. And you can email us, sponsor@dcmusicsummit.org, info@dcmusicsummit.org. And honestly, we don't have a lot of teams, so any way you can support. One of my goals is to be able to hire our team so that we can make this bigger, stronger, better. I mean, DC Music Summit to me can really shift. DC can also really shift what the industry looks like. We don't have to be just like New York and LA. People are like, oh, it's not New York and LA, so you got to go to we can be a unique market. I would also say that New York is maybe a more performative city, and LA is a more recording city. What is DC? You know what I'm saying? So, we can be unique in this whole, arts dynamic and entertainment industry.
I love it. I've got all of that, and we will definitely speak online on how 24/7 artists and us personally, our family can support you guys.
Oh, that's great. Oh, thank you. And I'm really looking forward to talking to you about more about partnerships and things. Steve Strang, he's one of our team members. He was like, yeah, you need to talk to Udo about that. I was like, yeah.
He's the guy. Yeah. All right. So now I'm gonna shift hats. So now we go back to the MC hat, or you're more Lauryn Hill. Like Lauren's an MC, but you can sing, you can rap, you can put on a show. Like you're multifaceted, like you said. But you spoke earlier about the power of conscious music and the power of art just in general.
Yeah.
What role do you think it should be all artists, or do you think it should be a calling that your art should speak for a message and have some type of impact tied to it?
I think it's important for everyone to tell their story. I also had to kind of sit back, right? Because I listened to Rick Ross. I listened to Meek Mill. I listened to Tunchi. I even I've listened to Nicki Minaj more now than I did in the past, funny enough. But I had to sit back a little bit, because there is a level of, what am I trying to say? Putting out vision board creating, you know what I'm saying? Like they are putting out into the atmosphere what they want. And then it is coming back to them. So I am not diminishing anyone putting out that they want to see Grease and they only want to have bottles of cliquet. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, if you work this hard like I've worked, you want to see some sunny beaches. You want to put your foot in the water. You want Bahamas, you want Fiji, you want it all, right? Mm-hmm. So I love the vision building aspect of that. And I don't think that that should be diminished. I think that if it is low vibrational, and that is, you know, really in the space of producing death and drugs, and I think, you know what I'm saying, and only the use of your body, there's something to be considered. You know what I'm saying? Because those things do attract to you. And I think we're seeing examples, we just don't want to admit that those things, what those people have produced that are seeing that come into their lives. You know, I mean, more than ever, I'm seeing rappers on trial. And now for our lyrics, you know what I'm saying? Now I'm seeing, you know, just so many different cases. We're dying left and right, you know. So I really do believe that it is important for us to not ignore our wants, or if you were hurt, you should definitely speak on those things. But I do think that you have to watch out to be sucked into the vacuum of low vibration and negativity, or what maybe a label exec or anybody's trying to tell you, well, no, this is selling right now. You need to check that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Did that answer your question?
It 100% did. No,
good.
I love it. The idea of the vision board versus the low vibration. Jay-Z's 444 album for me was like the epitome of storytelling. And I remember, you know, a lot of the younger artists that I deal with, I would send them records, or, you know, we send records back and forth. And when that came out, I was like, y'all, this is like life-changing music. And for the younger artists, you know, they were like, yeah, you do, it's kind of boring. And I was like, no, like, trust me, go listen to what he's saying. And then few of them would like, I get it. A lot of them were still like, nah, it's whack, da da da. Yeah. But, you know, it's not for everybody. And I think he knew that even in how he rolled it out. The maturity of Jay-Z now, and even Nas with the King's Disease albums, I feel like, you know, again, a 20-year-old's not resonating with that, unfortunately. But I saw the impact that it had where younger artists who were fans of Jay-Z started being more truthful in their music. And so, like you said, you can talk about your experiences, your history, your past, like Meek Mill's doing, or even younger, or Lil Baby. But you have to do it in a way that's storytelling, like a movie, right? You're not glorifying it. It's got to be like, this is what we went through, but look what we got. This is what we went through, but that's not good, as opposed to, you know, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna shoot you, I'm gonna rape you, I'm gonna beat you. If you're just doing that for 3 minutes, that ain't helping nobody.
No, it's not.
And unfortunately, the people making the decisions of what music gets promoted and how much money gets put behind the songs, they're not in a position where they're directly impacted by the results or byproducts of those songs being promoted. So I've seen that firsthand, where it's like, oh man, like if that's the dude that's signing off on your marketing budget and he's picking the song, he doesn't know how that affects us. I'm not saying he's doing it on purpose, but like, because I know how it affects us, like, yo, maybe we should do this for the single instead. And a lot of times you'll get pushback, but I'll always go straight to that in a room, especially a label room. I'll be like, yeah, like, we can't, that's not our lead. Like, I've sat and had the vision board session with this artist. I know what their intentions are. And if we lead with that, we're putting them down a rabbit hole that we can't come back from.
Yeah. It's also how to me too that like you had to kind of convince the kids to listen.
To
Jay-Z. I was like, what? Like, I'm over here like, that is like required material. That is like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, like imagine like a 20-year-old now, Jay-Z's old enough to be their dad. Like he's older than a lot of these people's dad. So for them, it's really hard for them to grasp that like, it's good until they see other artists like Dirk and these other Lil Baby say like, oh man, Jay-Z's the guy. Then they'll go listen. But I think, you know, Jay knows it. It's like, it's hard. What he's done is remarkable, because we've never seen it before in our genre. I've never seen a hip hop artist at 50 something years old put out a verse and people stop time to listen to. So thank God for him. He's extended the life of hip hop, which has to happen, because in every other genre, there is no limit. Like the Rolling Stones can still sell out. Celine Dion
Yep.
can still sell out. Like in every other genre of
The
music,
Beach Boys still
like
sell
you
out.
can go till you're 90 and people are selling out. But in hip hop,
Yeah.
it's like once you hit like 38, it's like, oh, nah, I can't
That's
listen to you anymore.
it.
You're not in that
And
white
see,
hot
you
space.
can't rap, which is like it is poetry.
Yeah,
You know, it is it's deep. It's deep.
yeah.
Not with it. Not with it. Yeah.
So no, I like that. I like that you should tell your story, but you should
Mhm.
be consciously aware of the vibrations. So are you telling the
Oh yeah, you
story
have to.
in
Yeah.
service of education and enlightening, or are you telling just a bunch of trash that really just puts someone in a bad space and really puts you at risk? Like you said, if
Yeah.
you're talking about drugs and this and this and that, and then a couple years later you're on trial for a RICO,
Yeah.
that's like that's hard. So I love that.
Yeah, and I'm not ignoring the fact too that, people who start getting into the industry were also taught, like, well, you need to stay in this niche in this pocket to make it. And so they're just trying to get out of whatever, challenging situation that they're in.
Yeah,
So I'm not ignoring that, but that also to me, it's important for us who know to make that known, to make
yeah,
how important it is that we don't keep feeding that animal and find different ways for us to thrive. And that's why we also should know our business, you
yeah.
know?
I
Hmm.
love it. I think art and activism should always be tied at some level for every artist. All the artists that we're currently training or like, teaching, developing,
Yeah.
as we kind of onboard them, one of the things we do is their vision board, and then we say like, what's your goals in life,
Yeah.
and what's important to you, and then once we figure that out, we always tie that. So
Yeah.
if it's immigration, then how do we kind of partner with an immigration non-partner? If it's
Yes.
homelessness, and we all have our stories and our histories.
Mhm.
So it doesn't take much in conversation to find out what's important to you. If it's supporting
Right.
single mothers, if it's supporting, kids who are hungry, if it's whatever it is, use your art in a way that can make the world a better place. And
Yeah.
that's something that I know DC Music Summit is doing, you're doing.
Yeah.
Um, and then I look forward to us connecting offline because I think there's some stuff we can work on
Yeah.
in the near future that will support what you're doing, but also provide opportunity for artists in DC.
There was something you also said earlier about like kind of like not reinventing the wheel.
Mm.
Like kind of like if someone has something working, then why, try to create it from the ground up if they're doing that is one of my biggest pet peeves in the scene is that it's all I'm going to create it, create another piece. I'm like, yo, this is a lot of work.
It's a
Like
lot.
I wouldn't even, this was definitely like in God's plan and his mission for me to start because I did not say I wanted to be an ED of a nonprofit. You know what I'm saying? So I always try to tell people like, look, how can we work together? Because we can build branches of your passion, if it's aligning with ours and we're on the same page with what we're already doing to become more of this power to change things as opposed to all these separate, small entities. But
Well, I'll tell you right now, one of my vision board things for the DMV. So we moved to Atlanta 4 years ago.
yeah,
But the DMV will always be like our home base, and then the ties that
yeah.
like it's when I'm there, we say home. When we say home in our household, we still talk about the DMV.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
but the DMV scene for me and DC artists in particular, because that's where we started,
Uh-huh.
need the support. My vision board, my goal, one of the things I want to have happen in the next couple years is I want to do a really dope music conference at the convention center.
Okay.
I want to get you. I want to get
Okay.
Bird and Made in the DMV. I want to get
Okay.
Mozzie
Yeah.
and his group. I want to get DJ RB. I want to get all these people who I know like are for the artists and care in
Yep.
a room and say, look, let's put together the dream music conference.
Yeah.
Let's put branding and labels aside and just do it as a collective. And
Yep.
let's create an opportunity for artists to come and actually like, I want artists to go to this event and walk away with their LLC paperwork in place. I want
That's
them
what
to
I'm
go to this
saying.
event and
Yes.
walk
Yes.
away with their
With
BMI set
real
up.
outcomes.
I want them to go
Yeah.
to the event and walk away with a YouTube channel and artist
Yeah.
profile on Spotify and all these things that now that we have these relationships, I'm like, to your point, in all these other cities that kind of have their niches, I feel
Uh-huh.
like DC has a chance to be lean into what we are. We can be
Yeah.
the where the creative entrepreneur is supported and like where like the business comes first. Where it's
Yes.
like
Yep.
we're artists and
Yep.
musicians, but our business is together. Because
Yes.
when you go to
Yes.
set up an LLC, the place where it's done all over America is in DC. The office where
Yes.
the paperwork has to go is in
The
DC.
DC.
When you get your EIN,
Yep.
the place
Yep.
you get your EIN from is
Yep.
across the street from the
Yep.
LLC building.
I didn't
Yes.
get it.
So when I look at like the DC artists and I'm like, yo, you need to set up an LLC. You know, you can drive 30 minutes and go to Southwest and get your LLC and EIN the same day,
Same
walk
day.
out with the document. Like no one else can do that in
No,
America
no.
but you.
But you. Yeah. You
And
can go straight to your congressman.
Straight to your congressman and be like, yo, we need to work on this bill. You can go straight to Sound Exchange and be like, yo, we need to work on this royalty rate.
Yeah.
You can go straight to the RIAA and be like, yo, we need to adjust this. You go straight to the Library of Congress and be like, yo, we need to like. So if all these things are right there in our midst, and all of these major companies are there, and the people who are fighting policies are there, then that's I'm putting it out there. I'm gonna send this clip to Bird because I've already told her. I'm telling you now, like my selfish, like what I want to do for us in DMV, specifically us. When I say us, you know what I mean. Is
absolutely.
In the convention center, I want
in the Washington Convention Center.
The Washington Convention Center.
Right.
I want every room, every square inch of that place filled with the dopest MCs, graffiti artists, visual artists, directors, creative directors. I want the biggest names and like I want Pharrell, I want Missy, I want like the DMV fully represented.
But it be coming from us.
From us. And I want people to walk away and be like, not only did I learn, I'm 10 steps ahead of where I was before I came.
Yeah.
So I'm putting it out there. We gonna get to, I'm a big like put it out there when it happens. I've put it out there now.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Yeah. So I'm gonna have Bird actually is next. I do her convo next week. So I'm gonna say the same thing to her, and then I'm gonna start a chat with us and be like, all right, y'all, it don't have to be 23 because again, like it takes time. It's like I'm about doing things right. So
look, our dream is the convention center. You know what I'm saying? Like to have DC Music Summit. But honestly, I have always been a person who wants to connect the community, but we also got egos in the way.
Yeah. That's a big, you know what? I'm
just gonna keep it 1,000 because we got ego in the way, and I think you do need some ego in order to do the work that we do, whether it be an artist or an arts business. But you also got to kill the ego when it's taking over and we can't make things happen. I approach these people. The people that you're bringing up, I approach them, you know what I'm saying? And there's an idea of, like I said, like, people want to take or do, it's like, we've got to become the level of strength we want to be. We have to power up. And guess what? There doesn't only need to be Made in the DMV or Words, Beats, and Life or DC Music Summit. We are covering different ground. There is, and if they slide into these people who come to these different business, slide into these different spaces, they can still learn different. We all have different Rolodexes, different information, different perceptions, and it keeps our calendar of the year active, where the arts and the arts music business stays at the top of minds. You know what I'm saying? Got to get over ourselves so that we can really connect it. And that's just me keeping a buck for real, because
what you're saying is true. And I'll speak from experience because I share this now with people is, so this goes funny to what we talked about earlier about being 10 times better with 10 times less.
Come on.
I think until we cross a certain level of success, there's a scarcity mindset that we grow up with, and protecting what I have with everything I have, right? Especially our people. And so even for me, when we first started our studio, I was very protective of it. And whenever I did anything, like House had to come, you know what it was. Like if House was in the building,
already know.
You knew we were there, and we would take over, and it was obnoxious, and it was a lot of things. Like now looking back, I'm like, God, we were so obnoxious. But it was like my way of saying, like, yo, if we here, you're gonna know we here, and we're gonna own it, and we're gonna deliver, but we're not gonna water it down. As we progressed and as we got bigger, and I realized even if I could get every artist in DC and around the world to come record, I couldn't facilitate it. I shifted my mindset to like, and we started playing the back more of, all right, so how do I help them do it? Because if they do it really well, it makes my life easier. And then eventually it became like, all right, well, let me help this other studio set up. Let me help this group do this festival. Let me help this group, and not worry about where my logo is or does people know House is behind it. And that, again, only came from abundance. So I think what
Yes. Yeah.
happens is until you cross over that level of abundance, we are
Yeah.
like this is it's ego, but it's fear, right? Ego is really
Yeah.
just fear
Yeah.
portrayed
That's
as,
re
oh well,
yeah.
if you get, then I can't get. But I'll say this:
Yeah.
my role in the situation and what I feel like my role in the DMV is now is to be big brother and say, look, y'all, like
Yes.
I got
Yeah.
nothing to gain from
Got
this.
you.
Literally, I don't have to do this. Let
Yeah.
me get y'all in the room. Let me assure you that everybody will shine together, and let's do
Yes.
dope shit bigger.
And
Because
that's yeah.
when you're in the rooms with
Yeah.
people who don't look
Yeah.
like us and you see success, you realize that's the key to their success is
That's the
collaboration.
key. It is the key to their success because they're not. I mean, I'm not saying they're not having exhaustion, but they're not completely exhausted.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then also, like you said, it's scarcity mindset, it's oppression, it's what we suffered for so long. So don't think that I'm ignoring that too, you know. But yeah, once we reach that certain amount of abundance, now it is it's time to let it go. I mean,
It's
even for me, because
yeah.
like as much as a humanitarian and I have given, I've also had to, protect what I've had because people do kind of, want to push and pull. And it is rare to find a like-minded mindset, people who see where you're coming from or also see, this is the role where I just need to support.
Yeah.
And I also find that with people who don't look like this, they should also be in a role of support and not, like I'm saving them.
Yeah. No, that's
like, yeah, let me be a resource to you because I know we've had gatekeepers on this other side,
Yeah. 100%. Well, we will make that happen. That's on my vision board.
Hey,
Has
I'm
been
down
now.
Dior Brown, DC Music Summit. Yeah, let's go. I'm
That's
down
all
Dior Brown. Let's pop it off.
This is how I do it. I'm gonna get one by one. I'm gonna get everybody's
Yeah.
Raider Mayor. I'm gonna get all of us because it's been in my head for years.
Yep.
Like I know it works. I know it works, and God doesn't put nothing in my head that's like doesn't happen. So it's just a matter of us having these convos, us having a few more convos together, and then when we do it, and we'll look back because again, we don't know what we're doing. I'm gonna put that up now and say I don't know how to do a convention center 3,000 person crazy ass event with Pharrell and Missy. But when it happens, and we're gonna get through it, and I'm gonna have a few more great hairs, we're gonna look back and be like, yo, we did that.
It's amazing, and I know it, and I'm so for it. Like what knowledge I've had from just like attending conferences, because sometimes it just starts like anything you fall in love with, just being there. Being in the presence of it, like I said, just not being afraid to be a person of support to it, give some time to it. It's about to be fire. Like when you said that, I was like, oh well, yeah, we speak in the language because I'm about collaboration and camaraderie. And I've also thought DC was just so beautiful in that, like my hometown. Like I traveled a lot because my parents were military when I was a kid. But what I loved when I came back home is that DC was so Black. And DC was run by Black businesses and Black entities and all those things, and it was moving, and nobody said nothing. You know what I'm saying? Until it started getting popularized with like Obama becoming president and all these things. But at first, we was an all Black town making moves, and I was going to the DMV seeing Black faces everywhere. So like I've always having that really young and being able to see that. My granddad had a bike shop on 14th and V. When I was growing up down the street from my church. So it was normal for us,
100%. No, DC is a chocolate city. And for those who aren't familiar with it, it's unique in that unlike other cities, DC has like, it's very industrious. It's very like you said, to have multi-generation businesses, at least in the 2000s in DC was normal. H Street was Black business, right? Like the all of Southeast was Black business and multi-generational Black business. And unfortunately, in the last 10 years, a lot of those businesses aren't there anymore. So I think it's important that even as we do whatever DC Music Summit and all these other events, that we're continuously standing up and supporting each other as we're now the new generation of businesses. And that's why, like I said, my role is, could I do a 247 conference and these, like, yes, but why do that when I know DC Music Summit's doing it well? Why do that when I know what Birds doing? Why do that? Like, let me just figure out how to support these people. And then like, whether it's just show up and teach a class, whether it's financial support, whether it's structural operational support, whatever it may be, that to me is how DC wins. It's why like Miles Gray as a
Yeah.
restaurateur, I'm like, yo, Miles,
Yes.
any event I have, I'm doing it at your restaurants. Like I'm
Wow.
rooting for
Okay.
anybody that looks like
Okay.
me that's doing
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
My wife Davina earlier today was like, you know, there's a difference between people who need and people who deserve. It took
Yeah.
me a long time to see the difference between the two.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
I'm excited when I find people who deserve it because those are the people
Yes. Come
I'm not
on.
just rooting for. I'm putting everything I have behind
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. Oh my God. That is such an amazing idea. Like this whole convention. Actually, I'm getting butterflies because it's gonna be fire. I immediately thought about like seeing all these different local emblems on the shirt and how that really is gang gang. Like that's
Yeah.
really supporting what we have. But it also made me think about how Pharrell came in, did a $20 million weekend here, and he taking it right back to VA.
Yeah. He's like, all right, thank you,
I
DC.
mean,
Going back to VA.
he took over the city. There was parties. I went to the busboys classes and
Mhm.
conferences. I got to meet Pusha T, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Create relationship with him. He's now that he's speaking about how the DMV needs to come together so that so that really says something, you know what I'm saying? When a celebrity who's doing very well, very established, tells you like the DMV needs to come together, something else, it's affirming and confirming what we've been saying for years, So I really am so excited about that conjoining and how we really need to fight together, but also the money don't need to keep leaving here.
Yeah.
We paid $500 to go see all of these artists for maybe 20, 30 minutes, you know what I'm saying? And go support a lot of our own local restaurants. Okay, now, because I'm gonna tell you something, the talent in the DMV is amazing.
Oh yeah.
And I added myself in that zone. We are amazing. I mean, you got everything here. You want real jazz, you want real R&B, you want real hip hop. It is here. It is here. You want eclectic, you want new, you want trap. We got it all. So I think it is definitely that time, for all of us to come together, because I tell people all the time, I didn't create DC Music Summer so it was only me. Yeah. I created it because I saw a need. I need your help. But I need you to do the work. And it's time. So
we're gonna get Pharrell and Pusha T, all them. We gotta get them because the thing is, when you're in the room, everyone's saying the same thing. We just haven't sit it in the same room together yet. And so I think that's gonna be the next step is over the next year, we'll have some text threads. We'll get people in the room, have dinner. And then what I see happening is we're probably 2 years out. But if we can get everybody clear this year and then land on what it is. Again, DC is a city where we know DC Arts and Humanity, like we have budgets for this. It's not like we got to come out of pocket. Like we have grant writers collectively. We have hella stories and backstories and successes. So when you pull all that together and say, this is what we're doing together, I know what that looks like. So I'm really excited.
That's the news coming for us instead of us coming for the news.
100%.
Like trying to get the PR. They coming for like,
100%.
I'm excited.
Yeah. All right. Well, Dior, you have been a gracious conversationalist. I love this connect. Again, thank you for letting me be a part of DC Music Summit. I started and I will end with, you said something. You said you've been to other conferences. I've been to Mid-Am. I've been to A3C. I've been to South by South. I've been to a bunch of different conferences. Although it might not be on the scale of the other ones, from an execution standpoint, yours is one of the best I've been to.
Oh my goodness.
That is don't take that lightly. Like you got your formula. Like people don't, people go through the motion of that. I'm telling you, like I'm not just saying it because you on here. You've got something. You've got it so good that I was like, you know what? I don't think I need to do a conference. Like, let me just support what they're doing because you're doing it well. You're doing it right, and I wish you nothing but success. But beyond wishing, I will make sure to support and ensure your success. Because I think you're a dope person. And then on the other side, don't hold on to that music because you're a talented artist. And I had a convo with a friend who he does clothing now. And it's funny. He said he got into the clothing as a hustle to pay for the music. And then he got so good at the clothing, he forgot the music. And now he's just known for clothing and business. Don't even if it's just for fun's sake, like even if it's like Kokai had to say, he says, let art. Even if it's just for art's sake, put that music out because the world needs your story.
I will. I definitely will. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely will. Yeah, that my heart needed to hear that. So absolutely.
2023. We're expecting
I'm so
more.
honored to be on this call, you do. Thank you.
Absolutely. We're gonna do a lot more. I'm so
Yes.
excited, and I will I'll follow up with you. I know it's the holiday week. This will
Yeah.
come out in January sometime, but we'll follow up in the next couple of weeks for this, but obviously for like the other stuff too.
Okay. Okay. I
All
look
right.
forward to it. Yep.
Thank you so much. So before
Thank
we go,
you.
is there any last thing you want to share with the people listening for you, for DC Music Summit, for DC in general? You got the floor and then we'll end.
What do I want to say to the people? Believe in yourself. Believe in the community that is right next to you, that is around you, especially if they're speaking your language. I'm not talking about if there's toxicity and you can't grow and you feel insecure in that space, you're not feeling loved, you're not being celebrated. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the space and community. If you're out here and you're pushing, and sometimes you just need to listen to that person who is your fan, who's got your back, and learn how to accept that love, and then learn how to accept that support. Go after your dreams. Don't stop, keep pushing. Don't worry about age, don't worry about time. Just do it. Literally, just do it. And when you're going after your dreams and your talent, your arts or your ideas, the universe just seems to open up. I mean, everything nobody knows this. Nobody knows what they're doing. As me and you was saying earlier, nobody knows what they're doing, but you're going to learn. You're going to learn as you go, and all the resources are going to start coming to you. And it's just going to blow your mind. So just go for it. Just do it. Just go for it.
And on that note, thank you very much.
Thank you.